So I'm going to do it a little bit different tonight in that I'm going to give a little bit of talk first and then we're going to meditate. Normally we do it the other way around. But I've found that sometimes priming the pump, so to speak, it gives us something to kind of leaven the meditation with. So that's the idea for today. But I don't know if y'all remember what Durga talked about last time. She talked quite a bit about, those of you who are here, she talked a lot about loving kindness practice, and she talked about resting in awareness. Didn't you talk about that? A little bit about that. We're going to talk about that a little bit more today. She talked about interconnectedness, how we're all interconnected to each other. And that's part of the medicine that can take us, the recognition and the deepening experience of that is part of what can take us out of the disease of separation and like we're not connected, which leads to so much loneliness and other kinds of illness. And also how we're all part of one larger thing, that we're all like cells in a body. So she covered a lot of ground. I listened to your recording and I was like, damn, that was a great talk. It was a great meditation too. So I'm going to talk today a little bit about conditioning, how we train or condition our minds in order to have our minds be more the kind of minds that we want them to be. We're talking a lot more and more in the culture about the negative conditioning that we all experience through the media, through general attitudes that are currently prevailing in the culture, through commercials and advertising. All of those things are like conditioning us, to be good consumers primarily, right? And then secondarily to, figure out if we're the good people and who the bad people are, which is more of that kind of building on that idea of separation. So one of the great things about meditation and spiritual practice is that we can learn how to condition our mind in positive ways. So instead of conditioning towards competition or distraction or grasping after more consuming, we can start to condition towards mindfulness starting out. I mean, that's really the foundation of everything else that we might do with our conditioning, by starting to be able to actually train the mind to rest on an object for more than a microsecond. So to train in focus, to counter all of the distractibility that we have. And then other things that we can train in is generosity. Learning how to let go of all of the things that we cling to. And that can be by, giving our money to people if we have, a little bit to spare, giving our time to people, listening to people, slowing down and being with our animals, when they need a little attention. And these are all like kind of some of the things that we can do as we learn how to rest a little bit more. And part of what I mean by resting is to extend the practice off of the cushion into taking little moments throughout the day just to sit and rest. To empty the mind and just take a breath and see what's present beyond all of the thoughts that normally we are engaged with as we go about our day. And in some ways, that's kind of the primary deconditioning or reconditioning that we want to do, is we want to learn how to come out of the realm of concepts into the realm of the senses. In a certain way, that's what we're talking about when we're talking about learning how to be present. Right? Not present with our thoughts so much, because we're already there, but present with what is there beyond the thoughts. I'm just trying to list out some things that either maybe you're already experiencing in your meditation or coming attractions as you continue with it. So one thing I also want to mention about this positive condition is that it's a really empowering thing, because when we start to condition our minds in a positive way, we're taking that job back from all of the people and the powers and the entities that we've given it to. I mean, maybe it was taken from us when we were young, either by parents or teachers or politicians or pastors that weren't mindful and careful with us. But as we grow older, we can say, "Oh, I want to take back that responsibility." And it's sort of like we're taking the job over from not just external parties, but also the unconscious forces and patterns that have been developed over the years. The patterns of, I'm always never have enough time, or I'm always distracted, or I'm always depressed, or there's not enough. This is something that Durga is always reflecting for me, is I'm always kind of worried about money, and she's like, not. And the fact is that we have enough money, but I have this pattern of worrying about it, and so it's like she's so gracefully always holding up the mirror and saying, "Oh, look, that pattern, Thomas. Don't infect me with your anxiety, please." So I don't know if y'all have any of those kind of family dynamics going on, but again, it's like when we become aware of our patterns, then we can start to change some really deep-seated patterns that carry a lot of pain with them, and don't enable us to take advantage of and actualize the tremendous opportunity that we have in this life to be, for all its current stress and strife, to be living in this relatively free land, where we have freedom and money and time even to meditate or to worship or to pray or to do art or creativity or whatever, right? Obviously we're all a little worried about how that's going to be in a year or 2 or 5, but for the time being, we do have opportunities like this to come and to figure out how to transform ourselves and to be happier and more creative beings. So, does that all make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So as I said, the first thing that we cultivate or we practice in is mindfulness. And we start to learn how to train the mind so it'll go where we want it to go. It stops going all over the place. And that's really what we're doing as we're kind of settling down on the cushion for the first week or month or year or decade is working with the monkey mind, the chattering that just everywhere, and so the practice is, generally we focus on the breath as an object of concentration, and we notice, thinking, and then let go of the thought and come back to the breath. Thinking, let go of the thought, come back to the breath, and over time, and again, maybe you've already experiencing some of this, you can rest with the breath for a longer period, and then there's more peace, more rest, more focus, and then, as I said, we can use that focus for other things, which is what we're going to do tonight. So one of the other things that we can do with that focus, besides cultivating certain positive qualities, conditioning our minds in a positive way, is we start to clear away some of the underbrush. And like I was saying, these can be some of the negative mind states or the patterns that we're just accustomed to living with. And what Buddhism says, and what's a number of current psychospiritual practices are saying, is that beneath all of the chatter, there's actually a wide open, spacious, radiant mind that is there for us to tap into. You know, it's like there are all these metaphors, like, you know, the clouds that are covering the sun, or like the dirt that's covering over the gold that's in under your fireplace, right? Or, you know, there are all these stories about that great, beautiful gift that we all possess within us, the jewels within. Internal family systems calls it the self. Jung also calls it the self. Buddhism calls it Buddha nature. Hakomi practice calls it the organic self, right? But it's this idea that, you know, there's something that has been not impacted by all the trauma and all the struggle and all the pain that we've all established or experienced, and that's what we can start to connect in as we settle and as we rest and as the mind quiets. Does everybody kind of know what I'm talking about here with this thing underneath it all? Yay. That's great. All right, so we know where we're headed. Looking for it. Great. There's some intuition, perhaps, that it's there. Yeah, beautiful. So I just want to also mention that I mentioned internal family systems, which is a psychospiritual process that works with the idea of us having different parts. Is everybody familiar with IFS? No? Okay. It's one of, like, again, a number of psychospiritual systems these days that doesn't think of us as a unified whole. I mean, there is that unified whole self underneath it all, but what we generally deal with in our minds can be described as different parts. Like there's, you know, like the inner child, the competent part, the angry part, the wounded part, the creative part, you know, all these parts.
Critic.
The critic.
Gotta mention critic.
The critic, the pusher, the surfer, you know, whatever you got. The nature, you know, person who loves to be in nature. And the idea is that a lot of these parts are the parts that are carrying the pain that we might have experienced in our childhood or through different traumas, and those parts, in a certain way, can be seen as like a contraction. So if we're kind of building this model of ourselves as being this kind of wide open, spacious, luminous field, which is kind of what modern physics is getting us to, you know, and that's kind of what we want to kind of move towards, is that openness and that spaciousness. Then these places of conflict within ourselves are like a contraction within that. And you know, the energy doesn't move through that, or it's got to move around it. And that's And a lot of times these are places in our body or in our mind that we don't want to go to because it's like, oh, that's scary, or there's shame attached to it, or I'm just not supposed to think about that kind of thing, or we don't think about that kind of thing in this family. We don't talk about that. All of these kind of taboos almost. So part of what we're doing in therapy is we're going towards those things and making friends with them and then bringing them out into the light and healing them. And we can also do that through our meditation practice. And the way that we're going to talk about doing it today is simply by using this mindfulness that we start to develop when we've meditated on the breath or rested on the breath for a little bit, to just gently come towards some kind of contraction in the system. And, this can be like anxiety or fear or some grief about the loss of a loved one. It can be the worry about are we going to lose our democracy, or have we already lost it? These things that they can carry, there's so much agitation in our system. So part of what can happen with when we're meditating and doing these practices is that we can develop a clear, aware, focused mind. And again, this is part of what Durga was pointing to last month. And with that clear, focused mind, that we could say it also has the qualities of compassion and kindness and caring and curiosity. We go towards some of those hurt places inside of us, or those angry places, or those confused places. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do today is we're going to I'm going to lead you into a meditation like we've done in the past number of months. And we're just going to rest with the breath for a while. We're going to settle with the breath for, 3, 4, 5 minutes. And by that, I mean, the breath is the object of our concentration. So we work either at the diaphragm and the sensations as it's rising and falling, or at the nostrils and the sensations as the air is going in and out of the nostrils over the upper lip. And we just keep bringing the awareness and the concentration back to that place. Okay, everybody clear about that? Okay. And then when we realize that, we're thinking about something, we just very gently let go of the thought, and then we come back to either the nostrils or the diaphragm. Okay? And I'll be guiding you through that. And then at a certain point, we're going to shift our awareness to whatever the thing is that we want to address today. And like I say, can everybody find something in their minds that they could use as an object, some sadness or some worry or some fear or some anxiety? Can anybody?
No, none of us can do that.
I'm struggling with that too.
If you don't have something, you can work with my anxiety. How's that?
And I think as far as don't maybe choose the biggest one,
Yeah. But maybe it's something that you're familiar with, that you kind of live with, that maybe you struggle with, maybe you're in conflict with, and this is an opportunity to just come towards it with some loving kindness, with some curiosity, with some neutrality, with some equanimity, whatever we can muster. Okay? And again, I'll kind of guide us through that as we get into it. So any questions yet, or everybody kind of clear? Okay. Love it. You guys are awesome. So yeah, go ahead and just kind of get into whatever your meditation posture is, so that you're comfortable. And yeah, and generally, if you don't mind, I'll just kind of guide us into this, and I'll try not to talk so much. But I just want to invite you first to become aware of sensation This helps us to get grounded, come into our bodies. Wherever you're taking care of or making contact with the couch or the floor, just let yourself register those yummy sensations of your existence. And then once you've done that for a little bit, let yourself be aware of the sounds in the environment. My voice, the fans. You can let yourself kind of identify specific objects that might be making those noises. Or you might just register hearing. Hearing is happening. Just like sensation is happening, sensing is happening, hearing is happening. Then you may notice that you become aware of the sound of your own breath. And let yourself the fullness of the breath and its movement through your body. Let yourself be with that full experience of the breath, and then gradually settle down into the experience of the diaphragm rising and falling, or the experience of the air going over that upper lip, up into the nostrils and out. And let your mindfulness be imbued with alertness and relaxation, so that you're relaxed in yourself and awake, aware, alert. As you track the breath. if you find that you've gotten taken up by a thought train, just very gently release the thought and come back to the breath. So gradually the mind settles down. It's a little more quiet, a little more focused, resting on the object of the breath. And now we're going to turn the awareness that's been resting on the breath to that thing that we're going to be with a little bit, that little glitch in our system, that worry or that pain or that grief or whatever you've decided. And what I would suggest as you move towards it, you see whether there's a sensation in the body connected with it. A lot of times these things are either in our belly or in our chest or our throat. So you just go look with your awareness. And we're going to let our awareness be imbued with compassion and curiosity. Really beginner's mind, like we're just going to go and take a look. And just like we've been resting on the breath rising and falling, we're just going to rest our attention on this little glitch in our system, this worry, this anxiety, this pain. This fear. And let the breath continue to be there in the background as a support for the awareness and for your nervous system. And let yourself see, does this thing have a certain density to it? Does it have a certain color? Is there an image that goes along with it, or is it more of a feeling or a sensation? Just really checking it out. And if you need to come back and just kind of rest with the breath for a little while, just to kind of get your rhythm back, that's fine. And then reapproach. Then I'm going to invite you to ask this place in your system, again, very open-minded, open-hearted. Just ask, what do you need? And just see what comes back. And a response might come again with sensation or with feeling or with pictures or with words, or there might be nothing, and that's fine too. Just continue to be present with it. We're going to stay with this a few more minutes, and if it feels like there's a relationship or an exchange going on with this part, just stay with that, have the conversation, however it is. If it feels like there's not a lot happening, it's fine to just come back and rest in the breath again. But just continue to allow yourself to be present, to stay awake to your experience. Now we're almost to the end of our time with this process. So we're going to say goodbye to this part in a moment. And if it feels like you want to come back and visit this place again, during your next meditation, you can kind of let it know that, or let yourself know that. And otherwise, just kind of release this process of engaging with this part. And all of us can just come back and rest with the breath again, in a way that you can find your way back there in an easy and natural way. Back to the diaphragm or back to the nostrils. Back to the sounds in the room. Back to the sensations in your body with your feet on the floor, whatever part of you is touching the couch. And let yourself imagine yourself sitting in a room with 9 other people. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes and be present in this space with each other.